Mr. Woods? Mr. Morrow? Jones? Mr. Armature?
Here, and I'd like to mention that I don't have enough stuff up here.
Ms. Aronson?
Here.
Yeah.
Mr. Blossman? Here. Mr. Brown?
Here.
Mr. Damp? Mr. Luke? Mr. Mallett? Mr. Morris? Mr. Starnes?
Here.
Mr. Temple? Ms. Werner? Mr. Williams? Mrs. Zuschlag? Mr. Morris? Chairman, there is a quorum.
Jacob Rachel, sophomore, majoring in mechanical engineering from Decatur, Georgia. Please rise.
Arms.
Please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, I humbly seek your divine wisdom as I stand at the crossroads of decision. Grant me the discernment to choose wisely, to see beyond the surface, and to understand the consequences of my choices. May your infinite wisdom fill my heart and mind, guiding me toward choices that reflect your truth and love. Let your wisdom be my compass, steering me away from harm and towards the fulfillment of your purpose for me. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
We pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Arch.
Thank you so much, Macy and Jacob. Please come back to the podium and tell us a little bit about yourselves today.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Macy Duplessis. I am a senior here at LSU, majoring in mass communication with a concentration in broadcast journalism and a minor in political science. I am from New Orleans, Louisiana, where I attended St. Mary's Dominican High School and graduated in 2020. During my time at LSU, I have been an active member of the community. I currently serve as the president of the National Association of Black Journalists here on campus. I am also a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. I am also a part of the National Honor Society League, and I am also a part of the Phi Sigma Beta Honor Society. I love being at LSU. I have been an active member of my community. I'm very grateful for the many opportunities I've received while being here. I'm currently serving as a legislative aide for City Councilman District 5, Darrell Hurst, and I'm also doing that while in school and being able to do that for credit. So I appreciate you guys having me here, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jacob Rachel. I'm a sophomore mechanical engineering major from Decatur, Georgia. I have been attending LSU really since July. I was a part of the Summer Scholars Program. In my time at LSU, I've been thankful to be a part of many clubs that have an active place in the community. I'm a part of the National Society of Black Engineers, the Black Student Union, and the Black Male Leadership Initiative, all the while being a resident assistant in the BAM community, that is Blake, Acadian, and McVoy. And it is really a load, and it's a lot to pressure on your shoulders, especially with a STEM major. And I really thank you guys for having me, and I thank you guys for supplying me with a little bit of financial security. I especially thank Mr. Morris for being able to take a lot of pressure off my shoulders so I can really enjoy my college experience. Thank you.
Thank you.
And you notice he said Georgia, so that means you left the Bulldog country, came down to us.
Great decision.
Which is the same thing I did, so.
Thank you. In fact, both of our students this morning are Board of Supervisors scholarship recipients. And Macy Duplessis happened to be from one of the finest families in New Orleans and somebody I've known a very long time and a very dear friend. So thank you all for being here this morning. I want to thank also the Persian Rifle Cadets. We enjoyed having you participate in our meeting today as well. Ms. Marilyn, has anyone registered for public comment? Okay, at this time I'll entertain a motion to recess the board meeting. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Without opposition, the board is in recess. And before I begin, I'll ask Supervisor Warner, to convene the Research and Agricultural Extension Committee meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mrs. Marilyn, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Werner?
Here.
Mr. Blossman? Here. Mr. Armenter? Here. Mr. Brown?
Here.
Mr. Luke? Mr. Morris?
Here.
Starnes?
Here.
Mr. Temple?
Here.
Madam Chair, there's a quorum.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to invite Dr. Robert Twilley, Vice President of the Office of Research and Economic Development, and Associate Vice President Andrew Moss to give their presentation, very exciting presentation, on the research and future use of energy in Louisiana, which you all may have heard a little bit about in the last few months. We're very excited and anxious to hear this presentation today. Thank you so much, Dr. Twilley.
Thank you. Good morning. This is a great pleasure for us to spend a little time with you, and we hope to do this periodically to give you an update of some of the research accomplishments at LSU, particularly focused around the Scholarship First agenda and what we are accomplishing, particularly in the Pentagon research areas. And I think I'll just start out by saying in research, we also like to win. We're very competitive. It means a lot to the university. and research is a very competitive process. So I thought of what I would do before we jump right into the description of the award that we are particularly celebrating today. I'd give you a little background on research expenditures and give you a little idea of how universities are ranked and why some of these wins are so important and so significant relative to our competition with our other universities, particularly in the Southeast Conference. We have a reporting that's done annually to the National Science Foundation. It's called the Higher Education Research and Development Report. And that report includes all of the research expenditures at LSU that goes to the National Science Foundation. And the National Science Foundation then ranks all the universities relative to the amount of money that we report each year. So there is a ranking, a national ranking each year relative to our ability to acquire research funds, but more importantly, to spend them. And the way that and I want to clarify, because I'm going to show you some statistics here in a second, I want to clarify that when we report to the National Science Foundation, what is known as the LSU Baton Rouge, we combine the LSU A&M, the Ag Center, and the Pennington Biomedical Research Center are summed up, and that single number is what is given or sent to the National Science Foundation. In addition, the two health science centers have their values of research expenditures that are submitted to the National Science Foundation. And I want to clarify that because I'm going to show you some of the ranking and some of the historical research numbers here, and I'm going to group those into, again, what I'm going to call the Baton Rouge campuses, and then I'm going to add the two health science centers to the Baton Rouge campus so you can see a total, actually, when you look at the total research expenditures for LSU. So if I can go to the next slide. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare LSU with what was in 2009 established as our peer group. And these are 16 land-grant universities in the Midwest and in the South, which we are used to compare ourselves relative to our research expenditures. That is the blue line that you see from 2010 to 2022, again, showing the total research expenditures of that peer group, 16 universities. And the purple line, that's LSU Baton Rouge. That's the 3 campuses here in Baton Rouge relative to our research expenditures. And then the orange line is when you add the 2 health science centers to the Baton Rouge number. That's the total research expenditures, if you will, of all of our campuses. And what you'll notice, I like to highlight here, is that our competitors, if you will, our peer group has been increasing at about 6 to 8% per year. We've been flat over the last decade. However, I want you to notice that in the last couple of years, we have really started to increase our expenditures. And I will say in FY23, we actually expect to see even a higher year than what we saw in FY22. We are getting our act together. And it's very exciting to see the collaboration and the cooperation and our focus now on being a top flight research university and increasing our ranking relative to our competitors. And you'll also see that increase in slope in the last year or so since what I will attest is part of a focus in the Scholarship First agenda. If I can go to the next slide. Now I want to highlight here, what I've done here is I've shown our research expenditures. Again, the blue bar is our peer group. The purple bar is a Baton Rouge, 3 Baton Rouge campuses. The orange bar is when you add the 2 health science centers. And what I've done, and this comes straight from the National Science Foundation, is a group the expenditures by what they call by source, whether the funding comes from the federal government, whether the grant comes from the state, or whether the grant is actually, or the money that's expended is actually money that the institution contributes to research. Those 3 categories, federal monies, state monies, and institutional monies, make up about 90% of the total research expenditures, and this is common for nearly all universities. And what you'll notice is that for state and local government and for institution funds, we're right at our competitors. We're right at our peer group. We spend about the same research dollars in state and local as the 16-member group that I outlined. And then also in our institutional monies, what are those? A lot of those are salaries. Those are the salaries that we pay faculty in order to accomplish their research time that they're dedicated. And you can see there, we are right with our peer group in what we invest in our institutional funds. But what you'll notice is in federal dollars, we're only about 50% of our peer group. Now, even when you add the medical schools, you're up maybe 75%. But of course, didn't highlight this, and I should have. The blue peer group are land-grant colleges. Nearly all those colleges do not include medical schools. So the blue line, if we included medical schools in our peer group, that blue bar would go up. Why is federal dollars so important? When we compete and when we want to win, why is it so important that we go after federal dollars? It's because by organizations such as American universities, there's an organization called Top American Research Universities. When they rank universities, they look at federal dollars because that's competitive. That's where you compete. That's where you submit a grant and you compete against all the other universities and you win. State monies, that's a legislative action. Institutional monies, that's what we get and spend on our salaries. But that federal dollar, that's competition. And so the higher your federal dollars that you get in research grants, the more competitive you're considered as a university. So you're going to hear from myself and our office, and as we brief you over time relative to our competition and our wins, these federal grants that we win are incredibly important. And that's why I want to highlight this before I ask Andy, if I can go to the next slide, to talk about the National Science Foundation Award. We're going to focus on energy. We are winning in energy. This list here is why I'm so optimistic that in the next year, in FY23 and 24, you're going to see some huge increases in the LSU's research expenditures because we're winning these huge federal grants. This is Department of Energy and Cybersecurity. I direct our capture grant that was a collaboration with Shell. These are huge grants. We're putting in a $75 million grant next week to the EDA for a tech hub. And just to give you the competition, and Andy will highlight this, the award in the NSF for engines started out with 700 letters of intent. And we ended up one of 10 universities to win that award out of the original 700 submissions. So Andy, I'll turn it to you.
Thank you, Dr. Twilley. Thank you, Chairwoman Warner, for inviting us to present. Does this work or is it? All right. So I'm here to talk about future use of energy in Louisiana, or fuel as it's referred to. It's usually easiest to start with maybe a little video.
Energy is the top industry in Louisiana. It contributes more to the state's economy than any other business sector and is ever evolving to meet global demands. In fact, most of the energy Louisiana produces is used to make the products the world needs to live. This includes everyday products like shampoo and fertilizers to grow food. Because of the state's rich natural resources, thriving and diverse energy production, and world-renowned research capabilities, Louisiana is the natural epicenter for the nation's energy expansion. Now, with more than 50 public and private partners from Louisiana, LSU is leading the NSF Engine, Louisiana Energy Transition Engine, to expand the state's energy industry with the largest and most competitive grant ever awarded by the National Science Foundation. This grant will substantially grow and help train the state's energy workforce and allow LSU to work with our industry partners to develop solutions to their challenges through use-inspired research and development, workforce development, and translation of innovation to practice. The team includes industry, education, state agency, and capital and trade partners who will leverage the funding and collaborate to build a stronger, more reliable energy economy. The energy expansion isn't just about electric cars or more solar and wind farms. It's about making the products we need in a sustainable and globally competitive way. Fuel, future use of energy in Louisiana, will create solutions we can use right here today that everyone will want to use tomorrow, leading energy innovation in Louisiana for the world. Energy.
So as was mentioned, this is $160 million over 10 years from the National Science Foundation that will be investing in R&D, workforce, and technology across our state. We brought together a huge group of partners, all of the institutions of higher education, the community colleges, the government, so Department of Natural Resources, Louisiana Economic Development, and industry and capital partners were at the table in the planning and development process of this proposal. It was not something that happened overnight. This took 18 months to pull off. It took a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and ultimately in October, I received an email notifying me that we were going to be awarded the grant, and they said, but you can't tell anybody. And so we had to hold that in confidences until they actually made the public announcement in January of this year. We are one of 10 awardees across the country. Along with our $160 million from the National Science Foundation, Louisiana Economic Development has committed $67.5 million for hiring R&D faculty. And here's a quick video that we put together about summarizing what this project is a little further.
We have an opportunity now as a collective body to ensure that new energy and traditional energy are foundational in our economy, and that we will be able to compete not just in the U.S., but across the world in the energy domain.
Through this funding opportunity for the National Science Foundation, we will continue to develop the technologies and the talent to lead the future energy needs of this nation, and while doing that, providing jobs and opportunities for people in our communities. LSU is one of the few land-grant universities located right in the middle of the lower Mississippi River Delta in an energy corridor between Baton Rouge and New Orleans that has for a long history served the nation. This positions us as a university with our partner universities and our private and non-for-profit partnerships to continue to be the leaders of the nation in energy development, talent, and technologies.
This was a collective endeavor by industry, community colleges, universities, economic development organizations, and everybody came together with one mission and one initiative aligned for the state of Louisiana, while adding jobs in the state, while adding research capabilities in the state, and while adding technology advancements here in the state to benefit the state of Louisiana. So everyone asks, why Louisiana? This is a map that was put together by the Department of Energy about CO2 and the CO2 pipeline capacities and where they will be traveling and installed over the next 30 years. By 2050, it's anticipated that the width of line as capacity is going to be centralized in Louisiana. The question becomes, why Louisiana? Louisiana has a significant subsurface geology that allows for carbon capture and sequestration. We have a significant network of pipelines to transport, and we have a significant CO2 production going on up and down the river. Our partners across the state are throughout the state working together to solve these problems. And specifically, we are focused on these three areas: research, workforce, and technology commercialization. These will be solution storming for the industries in our state, workforce development for the industries in our state, and technology development for startups and small businesses to keep the jobs, the R&D, and the workforce and the technologies in our state. And with that, we thank you for your time. We're happy to take any questions if you have any.
Are there any questions or comments? Well, I'll take the opportunity to thank you both for coming today and sharing this with us. I know this is a broad brush overview. I've visited with President Tate about, okay, what's the next steps, right? This is fantastic. And now where do we go, right? We kind of the dog caught the car. So I know there's a lot of work ahead of us, and we look forward to updates on how things progress within the educational institution and in our partnerships across the state and in industry. I'm going to take a moment. My mother served here many years ago, as many of you know, and she was famous for saying, you know, Louisiana is just, we're ripe with natural resources and we don't always manage them the best way. And this is so exciting to see that LSU is leading in garnering our natural resources and our natural talent here in this state and the industries who've invested here. From Southwest Louisiana, there is a lot of industry investment, and we are looking forward to the carbon capture business really catching on over there, that we can contribute a lot in this process. So it's exciting to see all corners of the state brought together, all our educational institutions and industry together, and we look forward to the future work that LSU is going to lead, not just here, but across the country. So thank you all very, very much for being here. We appreciate it. Appreciate your leadership so much. Any other business for the committee? Without any, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Mr. Morris and Mr. Armentor. Without objection, committee is adjourned. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Supervisor Warner. Supervisor Brown, please convene the academic committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Maryland, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Brown?
Here.
Mr. Armentor? Here. Mr. Blossman?
Here.
Mr. Luke? Mr. Mallett? Mr. Moore?
Here.
Mr. Starnes?
Here.
Mr. Temple?
Here.
Mr. Williams? Here. Chairman, there's a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Maryland. We have some very important and exciting order of business today with our committee. Would you please, Provost Haggerty, present the first item?
Yes, sir. The first item on the agenda is from LSU A&M to award an honorary Doctor of Science to Mr. Ed Piku. Mr. Piku received his BS in geology from LSU and planned to get a PhD. However, his graduate education at LSU was interrupted when he reported for duty as an officer in the Army and served 18 months in South Korea. Mr. Piku planned to re-enter graduate school, but as it turned out, he ran into two shell managers who offered him employment as a paleontologist in South Louisiana in their exploration division in Baton Rouge. And he had a very long career there, and he played key roles in the Gulf Coast oil development in paleontology. And it turns out this is very, very important for the development of our oil and gas industry, because you don't know where you're going if you don't know what formation you're in, and the way you know where you're at is through the microfossils that are in the strata. He counted among his greatest success as his involvement in the publication of the Gulf of Mexico Basin Biostratigraphic Index microfossils, a geoscientist's guide from the Oligocene through the Pleistocene, which basically means the last 55 million years or so. To this date, the book remains the Rosetta Stone for oil and gas exploration in our offshore industry. Upon his retirement, Mr. Piku stayed active, mentoring students at LSU and teaching various microfossil classes and conferences. His endowment of an AAPG University restricted grant in aid for the Geology Geophysics Department at LSU is one of the many ways his legacy continues. His many gifts to LSU include service on alumni and foundation councils. Sadly, Mr. Piku passed away just about 3.5 weeks ago on January 30th, 2024. As this request was going through the approval process. We ask that you award this honorary doctorate of science posthumously. Thank you for your consideration of this item.
Thank you, Provost Haggerty. Are there any comments or questions? It's a very generous and a very important person into our state and to our university. If no questions or comments, we'll entertain a motion to approve this item. Yes, sir. You have Mr. Arbiter and Mr. Morrow, thank you. All in favor? Aye. Aye. This motion passes. There are several routine business items for consideration that include a request for continued authorization of a center, endowed professorships, and graduate student scholarships. Provost Haggerty, please present these consent items, and we will vote on those as one issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. The first item on our consent agenda is a request from LSU A&M for the continued authorization of the Center for Analytics and Research in Transportation Safety, otherwise known as CARTS, which was first established in 2019. The Center for Analytics and Research in Transportation Safety at LSU is dedicated to advancing traffic safety in Louisiana through data analytics and analysis. Over the past 5 years, CARTS has received nearly $22 million in funding. All costs associated with the center come from outside of LSU and will continue to support the center. The second item is a request for A&M to establish 4 endowed professorships with requests for matching funds from the Board of Regents. First is the Scott and Ruth Bergeron Professorship in Biological Engineering. Second is the Calais and Woods College of Coast and Environment Dean's Professorship. The third is Dr. Bobby and Lori Kent Savoy Professorship in Mechanical Industrial Engineering. And the fourth is Roby H. Clark Distinguished Professorship. In total, these represent an addition of $560,000 in gifts that will be eligible for a match of nearly $140,000 from the Board of Regents via competitive process if the item is approved by you. The third item is a request from A&M to establish 2 and augment 2 endowed superior graduate scholarships. We request the establishment of the Thomas and Susan Shirley Superior Graduate Scholarships and the Jill and Roger Jenkins Scholarship for Mike the Tiger's caregivers, and an augmentation of the Ada Proctor Sturgis Graduate Scholarship in Chemistry and Biochemistry and the A.B. Freeman Scholarship. In total, this also represents $540,000 of private funds that will be eligible to be considered for a $360,000 Board of Regents match via competitive process if you approve it. The fourth item is a request from the LSU Health Sciences Center Shreveport to establish the Broadwell Endowed Superior Graduate Student Scholarship for physician assistant students, made possible by a generous donation of more than $65,000 from Dr. and Mrs. Larry Broadwell. An application for matching funds is being submitted to the Board of Regents Endowed Superior Scholarship Program to enhance the impact of the scholarship. The fifth item is a request from LSU Health Sciences Center Shreveport to establish the Sandra and Jerry Martin Endowed Superior Graduate Student Scholarships for medical students, and this is the fourth of these, made possible through the final installment gift from Dr. Cindy Martin. The donation totals nearly $70,000, and LSU Health Sciences Shreveport will apply for matching funds from the Board of Regents. Sixth and final item is a request from LSU Shreveport to establish the Sidney and Hollis and Kent Endowed Professorship in Business, made possible through the generous contributions of the Kent family, totaling $80,000. LSU Shreveport will seek matching funds from the Board of Regents Grants Program as well. Thank you for your consideration of these 6 items.
Thank you, Supervisor Brown. Supervisor Zuschlass, please convene the Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Marlin, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Zuschlag,
Here.
Warner,
Here.
Aronson. Here. Mr. Morris.
Here.
Mr. Morrow,
Here.
Temple,
Here.
Williams. Here. There's a quorum.
Okay. Mrs. Lewis, would you please present the item?
The item on the agenda for today relates to the LSU Health Science Center, New Orleans. It is a request to approve the Uniform Affiliation Agreement as well as a first amendment to that agreement between LSU Health Science New Orleans and the Louisiana State University School of Medicine in New Orleans Faculty Group Practice. This agreement would allow for LSU Health Science New Orleans and the separate nonprofit organization to formalize their relationship as required by PM 48, as well as this board's policies on how we treat affiliated organizations. After an audit in 2017, we made some improvements to our uniform affiliation process, including a new uniform affiliation agreement that was approved in 2020 and minute PM 48 in 2021. We have gone through the process of entering agreements using that new template with about 16 Tier 1 affiliate organizations, and this is another organization that needs their uniform affiliation agreement approved. Under the terms of the agreement, the organization would continue to support the Health Science Center New Orleans through its clinical practice and will provide revenues for the operation of the Health Science Center. And those revenues have averaged over the last several years between $75 million and $100 million. The Chancellor is here if you have any questions regarding the operations of the medical practice.
Any
Medical
questions?
practice, I'm sorry.
If not, can I get a motion to approve the item?
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. That concludes our meeting. I guess I have to get a motion to end it. Okay, can I have a motion to end the committee meeting?
Move.
Second. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zuslaj. Supervisor Aronson, please convene the Property and Facilities Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Marilyn, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Aronson,
Here.
Mr. Brown,
Here.
Mr. Dance,
Sorry. Here.
Here.
Mr. Luke, Temple,
Here.
Werner,
Here.
Mr. Williams, Clark.
Here.
Madam Chair, there's a quorum.
Thank you. Ms. Lewis, would you please present the first item?
First item is a request from LSU Health Science New Orleans for the construction of an exterior stairway. This exterior stairway will allow for elevated connectivity between the Seton Hall building and the new Center for Advanced Learning, or the CALS building. The total cost of the project is $1.425 million, and we are asking to proceed with this outside of capital outlay pursuant to Act 959. The Chancellor is here if anyone has questions regarding the details of the project, but you also have designs of the project in your binders.
Anything for safe and direct access. Are there any questions? Is there a motion to approve the item?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Any objection? The motion is approved. Thank you. Would you please present the next item for us?
Next item is a request from LSU A&M to approve renovations to the Phi Mu sorority house. The construction project will start in March in order to have the renovations completed in time for the fall semester. The total cost of the renovations is $3.9 million. Also, under this item, we are amending the lease with the Phi Mu sorority to our template for sorority and fraternity leases.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Is there a motion to approve the item? Ms. Werner? Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Mr. Temple, thank you very much. All in favor? Any objection? The motion is approved. Ms. Lewis, please present the next item.
Continuing our sorority renovations, the Delta Gamma sorority is going to renovate their house. Total cost of the renovation is $8.9 million. During the construction of the renovations, they will sublease the Delta Kappa Epsilon fraternity house during that time. So this is a request to approve both the renovations as well as the sublease and the new lease for Delta Gamma sorority.
Very good, thank you. Are there any questions? Is there a motion to approve the item?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Dayat. Ms. Werner, all in favor? Any objection? The motion is approved, thank you. Ms. Lewis, the next item, please.
The next item is the Theta Xi fraternity. They're going to sublease their house to Delta Tau Delta. Theta Xi is suspended until December 31st of 2025, so they're going to sublease their house for 2 years to Delta Tau Delta, and this is a request to approve that sublease.
Are there any questions? Is there a motion to approve the item? Mr. Temple, Mr. Damp, thank you. All in favor? Any objection? Motion is approved, thank you. Ms. Lewis, the last item, please.
The last item, I'm going to move from sorority and fraternity life and move to athletics. This is a request for a sublease or a lease between LSU and Tiger Athletic Foundation for renovations to Alex Box Stadium. The total cost of the renovations would not exceed $3 million, and the plan is to relocate the home team bullpen to a newly constructed area under the right field bleachers, and the relocation of the visiting team bullpen behind a new field wall. There will also be the construction of new field level seating areas consisting of approximately 100 seats along the right field and left field foul lines. That is the plan for the project. The lease would be undertaken, and Tiger Athletic Foundation would make those improvements, and that would add 160 new premium seats to Alex Box.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Is there a motion to approve the item, please? Mr. Brown? Werner, thank you. All in favor? Any objection? The motion is approved. I believe that concludes our
We're finished.
board. Thank you. Oh, do we have a motion to adjourn? We could go on forever. Thank you. Thank you very much. We are adjourned.
Thank you, Supervisor Aronson. And at this time, I'd like to first acknowledge a birthday for Supervisor Williams, his 50th birthday today. And I'll ask him to convene the athletic committee. Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Supervisor Morris said I have 50 more years, not with the way y'all work me. I'm gonna have a lot fewer than that. Miss Marilyn, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Williams?
Here.
Ms. Aronson?
Here.
Mr. Armature? Here. Mr. Blossman?
Here.
Mr. Damp?
Here.
Jones? Here. Mr. Morris?
Here.
Mr. Temple?
Here.
Ms. Werner?
Here.
Duschlag?
Here.
Chairman, there's a quorum.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mallett's wishing me happy birthday here. In keeping with the tradition that was started by past Chairman Valencia Jones, I am pleased to provide some brief updates on the athletic programs throughout our system, which continue to be a source of pride for all of us. And all of us, I think, recognize that athletics plays a vital role in the university's mission, and it, in many instances, is the front porch to the university and serves as the gateway and the introduction and the motivation to expose people to all the great things we're doing at LSU. LSU Alexandria, I'm pleased to report that they are taking student-athlete seriously, and that there's a fall cumulative GPA for their entire athletic department of 3.2. I think that's commendable. We should give them a round of applause for that. 116 out of 165 of their student athletes had a GPA of 3.0 or higher, which I think is a testament to all the priorities being in the right place there. The women's soccer team won the RRAC tournament for the first time in history, and they will go on to the NAIA tournament, and we wish them well. I keep looking at you for Alexandria, but I meant to look at you, Chancellor Carell. You were hiding behind Miss Maryland, so I couldn't see her. The women's basketball team is currently in second place, and the men's basketball team is currently in first place. And importantly for their growth, they opened the Outpost, which is a 6,000 square foot indoor practice facility for all of their sports, and is also being used for wellness and intramural sports on the campus, enhancing all of campus life for their students. I want to also turn to now LSU Eunice, Chancellor Sorensen. 32 of their student athletes were named to the most recent National Junior College Athletic Association All-Academic Team, the second most in the history of that athletic department. I think that also merits a round of applause. We emphasize athletic achievement, but the academic achievements of our student athletes who sacrifice a lot, and the fact that the institutions insist that they adhere to both responsibilities was what LSU should be about. The LSU Eunice first team members, 5 of the first team members had a 4.0 GPA, which I think is absolutely outstanding. The baseball team is currently ranked number 2 in the National Junior College Athletic Association with an undefeated 12-0 record. We look forward to getting that hardware again here pretty soon. I hope they keep up the good work. Head coach Jeff Willis recently won his 1,000th game as a head coach. All of his wins coming at LSU Eunice, and that makes him one of the youngest and fastest head coaches to reach that milestone in college baseball history. The softball team at LSU Eunice is currently ranked number 10 in the NJCAA with a 10-4 record. Their men's soccer team is ranked number 4 in the NJCAA with a 13-4-1 record. The women's basketball team at LSU Eunice is currently ranked 2nd in the Louisiana Community College Athletic Conference, and we are proud and hope that they continue to compete there. LSU Shreveport, 8 consecutive semesters with a 3.0 GPA for all of their student athletes, and in the fall of 2023, 63% of the student athletes had a 3.0 GPA or higher. Their women's basketball team is 15-0 in conference play and is on a 17-game winning streak. Our female athletes are really doing a tremendous job throughout our system. This isn't something Mr. DeQueer knows anything about, but the bass fishing team at LSU Shreveport is ranked number 7 in the National School of the Year poll. So Winston, you ought to go over there and do some coaching or something. Man. Help them out.
Or
They're
learning
doing great.
how to fish.
Oh yeah, or learn how to fish. That's probably right. Chair-elect said it. I didn't say it. And then, of course, the LSU A&M campus rounds out all of the athletic excellence that we're experiencing throughout our entire system. The departmental GPA there is 3.1, so I haven't quite gotten where LSU Alexandria is, but I know they're going to get that point up so y'all can continue to be competitive amongst yourselves in terms of department GPA. 21 people on the A&M athletic department are on the President's Honor Roll. They had 31 graduate, and 13 out of 17 of the teams have above a 3.0 GPA. For the fall SEC Academic Honor Roll, 22 football players, 18 men's and women's cross-country players, 12 soccer players, and 9 volleyball players all made the SEC Academic Honor Roll. Also proud to highlight in the holistic approach that the athletic department takes to these student athletes. On January 15th, Martin Luther King's birthday, 189 athletic department employees and student athletes participated in 365 volunteer hours at 6 different sites across Baton Rouge. Let's give them an applause for that, please. So the gymnastics team is ranked number 2 in the country, and Haley Bryant is a nominee for the award given to the nation's top senior gymnast. The board members took in a thrilling game last night for the women's basketball team that is ranked number 13, but important progress for the equality of women's sports. Our women's basketball team is ranked number 3 nationally in attendance with an average of more than 11,000 fans at each game, and has drawn crowds of more than 12,000 people 5 times this season. So quite a feat for our women's basketball team. Our men's basketball team is on an incredible run. They just beat Kentucky at home. They beat South Carolina on the road, and we're very proud of the way they are finishing the season. The baseball team is off to a 4-0 start. The softball team is off to an 8-0 start. The football team, spring game is on April 13th. Please mark your calendars for that as well. The women's golf team opened their season with a 1st and 2nd place finish, and the men's team finished 2nd in their first tournament of the year. The women's track and field teams ranked number 9 in the country, and we look forward to seeing them compete. Our swimming and diving team is competing at the SEC Championship, so please keep an eye out for their progress. And our men's tennis team is 9-1 overall, and they look forward to starting their play next week, SEC play at South Carolina. And finally, the beach volleyball team is ranked number 6 to start the season, and we're excited to have a home event here March 2nd for those of you who look to support that program. So that concludes all of the updates coming from the athletics departments throughout our system. At this time, we have several items that we need to be presented for your consideration. And so I would invite our athletic director for the A&M campus, Mr. Scott Woodward, to approach the bench, not approach the bench, but approach the, approach the podium.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and board members, and I want to thank you, as always, from the bottom of my heart for your individual support and how you're really helping this great enterprise become even greater. And as you well know, the higher you get, the more treacherous it gets, and you know, we just don't incubate national championships, and it comes with a lot of hard work, but we're competitive in everything we're doing, and hopefully we'll be in the mix when it happens. But what I wanted to do today is just tell you, you know, we have a few items about personnel, and it's who we are and what we are. And this is, we're in the people business, just obviously like our brethren and our leaders on the academic side. Our professors inspire and teach and do great research with our students. And our coaches and our administrators and our support staff do also that with our student athletes, and we look at them that way, and we're very proud of them, and we are what our people are. And I'm here today to tell you, by accident as the titular head, I'm so proud of our coaches and our administrators and our support staff for supporting what I think is the greatest department in America. And there's no doubt that our competition shows that in how we do things and what we do, and also just from a standpoint of what we are and what our brand is. I mean, we're second to none, and it's because of your support, and we thank that, and we don't take it for granted. And it means a lot to me, and it means a lot to our student athletes who really, I think, represent not only this university well, but our community and our state. And with that, I'm going to turn over the specifics, Chairman Williams, to Kelly Zinn to go over our contracts and what we have before you today. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Zinn?
Good afternoon. You previously received a total of 11 employment agreements that we're going to review. 9 of those were employment contracts for football, with 1 additional term sheet and 1 baseball contract. I'm going to review each of those briefly, and if there are questions, feel free to stop me as we go through each of those, or we can take questions at the end. First review is Blake Baker. You're seeing a 3-year term as our defensive coordinator for a total compensation package of $2.5 million per year. Bo Davis was hired as our defensive line coach for also on a 3-year term. Total compensation package starts at $1.25 million and progresses $100,000 each year to $1,350,000 and $1,450,000. Cortez Hankton was elevated to our co-offensive coordinator and continues to serve as our wide receivers coach. He received a 3-year extension for total compensation of $950,000, increasing to $1 million in 2026 and $1.1 million to finish out through the 26-27 term. Slade Nagel was hired as our special teams coordinator and tight ends coach. He received a 2-year term with total compensation of $500,000 in year 1 and $525,000 in year 2. Jake Olson is our head strength and conditioning coach, Jake Olson is our safeties coach, hired brand new, also on a 2-year term. Total compensation in year 1 is $350,000, and in year 2 increases to $400,000. Kevin Peoples was hired as our edge rushers coach. He has a total compensation package of a 3-year term at $700,000 each year. Corey Raymond returns to LSU as our secondary coach. He receives a total compensation of $200,000 in year 1 and $755,000 in year 2 with an option to extend in year 3 for an equivalent amount. That is a 2-year term. Joe Sloan has been elevated to our offensive coordinator, also continuing to serve as our quarterbacks coach. He has a 3-year term of total compensation at $950,000 in year 1, $1 million in year 2, and $1.1 million in the final year of that term. Jake Flint is continuing on as our head strength and conditioning coach, director of athlete development. He receives a 3-year extension, $550,000 in year 1, $600,000 in year 2, and $650,000 in year 3. And finally, for football, you see a term sheet for Austin Thomas, who was hired as our senior associate athletic director for football administration. He has a 3-year term for a total compensation each year of $425,000. That's everything relative to our personnel hires on the football side. You will also see a contract for Nate Yeske, who is serving as our pitching coach in baseball. He has a total compensation of $400,000 for a 3-year term.
I got it. Mr. Chairman, could I ask a quick question?
Yes, but I just wanted to, are we taking up, you mentioned the baseball contract. Can we just do the 8 assistant football coach contracts?
Absolutely.
Mr. Blossman, was your contract related, was your question related to that? I just want to separate that out from baseball.
It's different from baseball, yes.
Okay, so is that okay if we take that one up first?
Absolutely.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Blossman.
The gentleman that's the last, not the coach, the football assistant athletic director, is that replacing someone or is that a new position?
It is a new position, but is also replacing some attrition we had within our football program, specifically to our personnel department. We had 3 staff members who exited that unit. His role will assume the direct lead of that area, but in addition to that, he also has some other responsibilities that are brand new.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I have a question.
Mr. Temple.
Ma'am, we clearly had a defensive deficit on the football team. And so how did we get Corey Raymond for $200,000 from Florida?
He is currently under contract at the University of Florida, and so year 1 was in response to that contractual obligation.
Any other questions from the board? I saw Mr. Mallett taking notes. That always makes me nervous, but yeah. Ms. Zen, I just want to make... I appreciate that. I want to make sure we haven't, this is just logistic. Y'all have presented, there are 8 assistant football coach contracts, a contract for director of athletic development, a contract for senior associate athletics director, and for assistant baseball coach. Have you covered all of those?
Yes, sir.
All right, so I want to take them up in 4 different motions.
Okay.
So at this time, if there are no more questions, I would entertain a motion to approve the combination of the eight assistant football coaching contracts that Ms. Zinn described. Moved by Mr. Zuslag, second by Mr. Armator. Any, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved. The next motion will be a motion to approve the employment agreement for the Director of Athletic Development. I will entertain a motion to approve the item.
So moved.
Moved by past Chairman Jones, second by past Chairman Damp. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any objection? That motion passes. The next motion is I'll entertain a motion to approve the term sheet for Senior Associate Athletics Director for Football Administration.
So moved.
Moved by past Chairman Jones, second by past Chairman Werner. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion carries. And finally, I'll entertain a motion to approve the new employment agreement for the assistant baseball coach. Moved by past Chairman Werner.
Second.
Second by, actually past Chairman Jones. Danforth just raised his hand. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is approved. I think that seems to conclude all of the business for this committee, Mr. Chairman. Is there a motion to adjourn this committee?
So moved.
Moved by past Chairman Jones, second by Ms. Aronson. Do we need a vote to end? All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Zinn.
Thank you, Supervisor Williams. At this time, we're going to take a brief 5-minute break, and we'll reconvene the board meeting. Thank you. Any objections? Hearing none, so ordered. Ms. Marilyn, please call the roll.
Mr. Woods?
Here.
Mr. Morrow?
Here.
Ms. Jones? Here. Mr. Armenter? Here. Ms. Aronson?
Here.
Mr. Blossman? Here. Mr. Brown?
Here.
Mr. Damp? Here. Mr. Luke? Mr. Mallett? Here. Mr. Morris? Mr. Starnes?
Here.
Mr. Temple? Ms. Werner? Here. Mr. Williams? Mrs. Zuschlag?
Here.
Chairman, there is a quorum.
Thank you. For our approval this morning are the minutes of the board meeting, which was held on December the 8th, 2023. They were previously provided. Does anyone have any questions or corrections? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
So moved.
Moved by Supervisor Jones, second by Supervisor Blossman. Any objections? The motion is approved. Now we'll move on to personnel actions, which were also provided prior to the meeting. Is there a motion to approve the personnel actions?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Morrow, second by Ms. Warner. Any objections? The motion is approved. Also for our approval today are the reports to the board for routine business items. The reports were previously provided as well electronically. Are there any questions on any of the reports to the board? Is there a motion to approve? Moved by Mr. Damp, second by Mr. Thorns. Any objections? The reports are accepted and approved. At this time, the faculty and staff advisors' reports are next on the agenda. Dr. Cambridge will present on behalf of the faculty advisors. Then LSU A&M Staff Senate President, Mr. Duplashan, will present on behalf of the staff advisors. Please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The first report is from LSU Health New Orleans. The School of Medicine will be going through the re-accreditation site visit by LCMC in October of 2025. We are preparing for that site visit. It's a very rigorous process which looks into all aspects of medical school education, research, clinical operations, support services, faculty development, policies, and finances. The past 3 site visits have been very successful, and we received the full 8-year accreditation in 2001, 2009, and 2017. We are hoping that we'll have the same success in 2025. We are also beginning a strategic planning process to set goals and objectives for the next 5 years. The demolition project for the MEB floor 5, 6, and 7 is about to be completed soon, and then we'll move into the construction phase of laboratory space and office suites. Hopefully, we'll get that done in next 2 years, and then we'll have one of the best laboratory spaces in Louisiana that would help us recruit good clinical research scientists. The physical therapy department head, Howie Liu, also has started on December 1st, 2023. We have received environmental and occupational health grants. One of the grant is from National Center for Healthy Housing, which will help increasing rural community capacity for lead poisoning prevention. From the Ag Center, they had elections for Executive Board 2024. The re-elected chair is Dr. Richard Belowski. Vice chair is Carol Friedland. Executive secretary is Becky Gotro. From LSU UNIS, the respiratory care graduating class have all passed the national board examination at high cut score on first attempt. Several graduates made nearly perfect scores. The national pass rate at high cut score is only 52%. The graduate also surpassed the national pass rate on all 17 components of this exam. So that's awesome. LSU Alexandria is now the fastest growing university in Louisiana, with online programs increasing at an incredible rate. There's also on-campus enrollment increased by 17.6%. The faculty are also very proud of almost 90% retention rate, and they are working hard to introduce high-impact practices into the classrooms to keep students challenged and engaged. Faculty are engaged in a number of campus initiatives. One of them is Career Championship Institute, and another one is Quality Enhancement Plan. From Pennington, great news about research grants. Dr. Prachi Singh was awarded $3.7 million grant to study the cardiovascular risk of limited sleep. Dr. Ronald Horswell was awarded $1.3 million NIH grant to support the effect of in-state healthcare institution to share health data for research process across a common structure. Dr. Wagner Dentast, a postdoctoral fellow, received a NIH K99 award of $226,000 for his project to study sarcopenic obesity. Dr. Florina Corodian, a postdoctoral fellow, was named as the 2024 Resident Research Award recipient by the Society of Surgery of Alimentary Tract for her work related how the brain and intestinal tract communicate. Dr. Michael Katchmer, Metamore Institute's Metabolic Surgery Research Fellow, was named the recipient of Society of American Gastrointestinal and Endoscopic Surgeons Research Grant for 2024. The 2-volume set of Handbook of Obesity was also recently published. The book is edited by former Pennington Biomedical Executive Directors. And that is my report for these campuses. For LSU A&M campus, Professor Tyrone is going to present that report, and if you have any question, I'll be happy to answer that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Camboj, Supervisor. It is a pleasure to be with you this morning. I'm Daniel Tyrone, Associate Professor of Political Science at LSU A&M, Vice President of the Faculty Senate there, and I'm happy to be able to deliver our report today. Since my colleague, Faculty Senate President Inessa Bazayev, last spoke with you in December, there have been a number of notable developments continuing our tradition of achievement at LSU A&M. Earlier in this meeting, you were informed of the tremendous NSF Engines grant and the largest award in that organization's history, a potential $160 million in funding to advance the state's energy industry, create jobs, and grow the workforce. Outside of energy and workforce development, our faculty are making important strides in improving the health of our community. The development and synthesis of Nucatone, discovered in Professor Roger Lane's lab in the LSU College of Science as a potent insect repellent, is now being scaled up for industrial production through a collaboration with Professors Carrie Dooley and Mike Benton in the Department of Chemical Engineering. The team just received a National Science Foundation grant of $550,000 to advance Nucatone for tick control and insect-borne disease prevention. It is also effective in combating termites, ticks, and other insects, as well as fleas, lice, mosquitoes, and fire ants. While there hasn't been a new insect repellent on the market since DEET, research has shown Nucatone is superior to DEET, even at lower concentrations. There is also a new cross-campus project to combat adolescent obesity. LSU Professor of Kinesiology Sen-Lin Chen, having just secured a $450,000 National Institutes of Health R15 grant through the Eunice Kennedy Shriver National Institute of Child Health and Human Development, is leading the project and collaborating with Amanda Staiano and her lab at LSU's Pennington Biomedical Research Center, among others. The project is called Proud Me, Preventing Obesity Using Digital-Assisted Movement and Eating, and will have immediate impacts for hundreds of Louisiana children and their families through direct intervention in Louisiana schools. Of course, as a comprehensive university, our faculty work in numerous fields in addition to STEM disciplines, and the diversity of our research was on display at the recent Provost Fund for Innovation and Research Symposium. This event brought together the 70 faculty who collectively won more than 30 total awards, and it was great to see art, science, engineering, creative writing, and other fields showcasing the results of their seed funding. The faculty are also extremely proud of the recent election of Professor Emeritus Robin McCarley and former LSU Associate Professor of Mechanical Engineering Kevin Kelly to the prestigious National Academy of Inventors, or NAI. According to a press release from December 13, 2023, election as an NAI Fellow is the highest professional distinction accorded solely to academic inventors. To date, fellows hold more than 63,000 issued U.S. patents, which have generated over 13,000 licensed technologies and companies and created 1 million jobs. In addition, over $3 trillion in revenue has been generated based on NAI Fellow discoveries. Closer to home, I would like to thank the LSU Foundation for their additional commitment of $13,500 to faculty awards, bringing the total to $15,000. It is important to acknowledge the work of our faculty, and this will allow these recognitions of excellence to come with substantive financial awards. I would like to also thank the LSU Alumni Association for their ongoing contributions to these awards. Finally, as you are likely aware, there's been an increased focus on the issue of engagement on campus. One area where I and many of my fellow faculty feel we have made significant strides in engagement is shared governance, most notably in our relationship with the administration. President Tate recently attended 2 of our Faculty Senate meetings, speaking frankly and fielding faculty questions for nearly an hour on both occasions. He also met with Senate leadership for 2 hours early in the semester, and both have agreed to hold monthly meetings moving forward to continue our collaboration. We also have a very productive relationship with Executive Vice President and Provost Haggerty, who upon his arrival at LSU implemented regular meetings attended by Senate leadership and the Vice Provosts. These meetings have allowed us to be proactive in identifying emerging issues and to work together to minimize the disruptions they impose upon our faculty, staff, and students. A particularly good example of the benefits of collaboration between faculty and administration can be seen in the area of information technology. Approximately 1 year ago, we created a Faculty Senate IT Committee chaired by Professor of Physics and Senate Secretary Parvampreet Singh, and includes Chief Information Officer Craig Woolley and Chief Information Security Officer Sumi Jain. Their task has been to work together to develop policies that provide the network and data security we need while protecting the ability of our faculty and students to pursue their scholarship. This committee has done tremendous work on policies which are technically demanding and require significant time and attention, and we look forward to continuing this relationship with ITS even after the policies are complete. Overall, I believe that the current relationship between the faculty and administration is the best I've observed since I arrived at LSU in 2012. I can't deny that as an institution, we face significant challenges, and no doubt there will be more to come. However, if we continue to capitalize and grow these positive trends and engagement between faculty and administration, allowing us to work together in a coordinated manner towards our common objectives, I am sure we will put ourselves in the best position possible to confront whatever challenges may arise and continue our joint pursuit of excellence at LSU. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. I didn't get the memo about the purple blazers today, but I got close. So. I've only got the one sheet, so. But that doesn't mean that staff haven't been busy. I'll start with our staff Senate over at Pennington. Pennington is adopting a new challenge for its employees to promote improved physical, social, and mental health. This is called Small Shifts, and it's designed to encourage and introduce small changes in health behaviors and nutrition that will promote greater changes in overall health. This initiative began this month and will feature monthly motivational emails with suggestions on how to incorporate these small shifts in everyday life. Pennington will also be hosting the Irene Pennington Wellness Day for Women on Saturday, March 2nd. This will be the 24th year Pennington has hosted the event, which will feature more than 10 different free health screenings, including total lipid panels, EKGs, and several cancer screenings. Over in Shreveport, they recently recognized 6 staff members, 3 unclassified and 3 classified, with their Outstanding Staff Awards. Previously, these awards were $250 each. They were able to raise those to $1,000 each. So I want to be sure I recognize those recipients. The classified staff members were Barbara Maiden, LaShannon Morris, and Laura Savage. And the unclassified staff were Jessica Beto, David Gaither, and Amanda Lewis. In Eunice, one thing I want to highlight is that their Staff Senate Scholarship recipients for Spring 24 are Amber Arno, who is an administrative assistant in student affairs, and her son Tanner. Both are enrolled in the nursing program in Eunice. Here in Baton Rouge, we approved a joint resolution with our friends in Faculty Senate, which is the first ever such resolution between our two bodies, calling on the legislature to pass a bill that would allow staff and faculty to make a one-time switch from ORP to TRSL. We also began regular quarterly meetings with Provost Roy Haggerty and Vice Provost Jane Cassidy and Jackie Bott. At that initial meeting, some of the issues we discussed were approving a parental leave policy for unclassified staff that is equal to that available to classified staff. I know that things are in the works there, and I look forward to seeing that approved. That would be a massive recruitment and retention opportunity for staff on this campus. We also talked about ensuring staff representation on academic affairs search committees, waiving fees controlled by LSU for staff who are taking classes. This would be about $200 to $300 in savings, extending the staff tuition exemption program to include LSU Online, and how Staff Senate can assist the Office of Academic Affairs. We were excited to learn about the Staff Engagement Awards from the President's Office. I was going to use this time to suck up to the President, but he's not with us today, so I'll do that another time. If you see him, though, tell him I was going to do it. And we've been asked to propose criteria for the award and names of potential committee members, which we will provide to Ashley Arsenault, Chief of Staff, next week. In April, we will host a week's worth of events for staff as part of our annual Staff Appreciation Week, including a tailgate before the LSU baseball game with Nichols and a seafood boil. I say seafood boil because considering the price of crawfish right now and given our total budget, we can afford exactly 0 pounds of crawfish. Of course, all of you are invited to attend, and whatever we're boiling, you're welcome to have some. We had the honor of presenting 3 LSU Stripes Award to 3 staff members, so I want to recognize them: Elizabeth Lucky in the Department of Biological Sciences, Stephanie Jones in the Department of Physics and Astronomy, and Lauren Zabaski in the Burt S. Turner Department of Construction Management. These awards go to staff members who display outstanding effort and service to LSU through their contribution to LSU's commitment to excellent customer service, take a breath, Josh, support for student success, and fostering a diverse, inclusive campus community. And lastly, I want to recognize Clay Benton, University Registrar, who nearly ran the table on Wednesday night on Wheel of Fortune. Clay had swept every puzzle going into the last one. He was up 20 grand, and the lady next closest to him, she won, ended up with 38,000, so she went to the final puzzle. So Clay didn't make it all the way to the final puzzle, but he did take home more than 22,000 in prizes, including a vacation in Antigua. So we will be hitting up Clay to cover the cost of our crawfish boil. Thank you for your time. What's that? Yeah. He's on my list.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Josh. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve all committee recommendations from today's committee meetings. Moved by Mr. Storn, second by Mr. Ormiter. Any objections? The motion is approved. For our consideration today, we now have a request to approve the Scholarship First Strategic Framework. I would like to recognize Dr. Jason Dradi, Vice President of Strategy and Public Policy, to make the presentation to us.
Mr. Chairman and members of the board, thank you for the opportunity to be here today. The proposal is a resolution to approve the strategic framework, which is a strategic plan for the LSU system. The comments today will revolve around the framework and what's included. I'd like to begin by thanking Mark Beeger, Mia Brudnicki, and Tasha Ross for their work to date. As you know, I didn't start the process, but I did accept it in the middle of last year. Right off the bat, I just want to say that in American higher education, we feel a lack of confidence among the American public. In a recent Gallup poll, 36% of Americans felt 36% of Americans had confidence in higher education. That's not our problem. We don't have that problem. We're actually starting from a position of strength. As you can see here on the presentation, 90% of Louisianians believe in what we do, our work, and our faculty. That's really positive. We also have investors. We have corporations given, the state's given buildings, and we have students enrolling in record numbers in our campuses. In fact, these two charts here show that we have a record number of enrollment and research dollars. So things are looking very good for us, and so we're starting from a position of strength. More than 10,000 people participated in a vision and values retreat and correspondence thereafter, various committees and hearings. The vision and the core values were determined. The president felt it was important that we include what we call deltas. Now, if you grew up in Louisiana, you're very familiar with deltas. It's a geographical section, related to water. But also delta is a Greek letter, and mathematicians use that letter to indicate difference or change. And so these are the changes that we want to see in Louisiana: a better K-12 system, a better higher ed system, a better perception of Louisiana, in fact. So these are the things that we're working toward. Roughly, this plan has three parts. First is build the foundation. You all run businesses and organizations. What you need is the best people with the best tools and the best culture. That applies here at LSU. Next is engage through the mission. You're all familiar with the mission: teaching, research, and service. Very standard. Student success is going to be our goal. There'll be very specific metrics related to efficiency in getting the students out, but also improving the student experience and also preparing them for their careers. In terms of scholarship and discovery, we do have a goal, a very defined goal: top 50 in research expenditures in the United States. Now, right now, our campuses are ranked, the main campus I think is 82, Health Science Center New Orleans individually is 201, and Health Science Center Shreveport is ranked 251, I believe. But what we plan to do is combine the data. And the reason we can do that is because it reflects the enterprise similar to other universities like Florida or Texas A&M or Minnesota, Wisconsin, Kentucky, and so on and so forth. And if we do that, our ranking appropriately reflects that we're number 71. We're not that far from 50. Now, it's a big stretch, don't get me wrong, but we can get there. And it's not just research expenditures, though. Publication-inspired arts, the expectations of English and history and social sciences are going to be the same as it is for engineering and chemistry and biology. Same high standard, same national standard. And lastly, service. I'd like to touch on this one for a second. Ms. Warner, Mr. Starnes, you've talked a lot about research and extension, right, the extension work. This is a reinvestment or recommitment to our work in extension. And what we would like to do is use extension to grow research and use research to grow extension. We want to increase our outreach to the rest of the state. We also want to put students out into the field as well. We want the health outcomes to improve, and we want better economic development opportunities. Okay. The third leg of this stool is national prominence. Now, We have great faith and confidence, and our people are doing great work. But we have to be sure that we're performing at a national level because that's what the state expects from an LSU, right? So first and foremost, there's two sections. First is individual excellence. If you went to the basketball game the other night and you saw that LSU team beat Kentucky, that's because every player on the court did what had to be done to be nationally competitive to beat that team. That's true in the laboratory and that's true in the classroom, right? Now, if we're successful with that, we're going to have National Academy members. In fact, we will have one right here. The LSU family has 3. We need to grow that number. Also, we'll have Rhodes Scholars. The number of students earning the high awards will increase. But it's not just those awards. It's recognition nationally for what you do. Let me just say, though her vice president isn't here, Tara Smith, the extension director, was awarded the National Impact Award by the Sweet Potato Collaborative. That means her colleagues didn't just recognize her research, but the overall impact of her work on a national level. So congratulations to Tara for that. The second part of national prominence is what we call mutual prosperity. That is where we work collaboratively and together for big results. So we've talked about the Pentagon priorities, right? Agriculture, biomedical, coast, defense, and energy. And within the Pentagon priorities, that's not just research, that's teaching students and having impact on the community. You heard a presentation earlier about fuel. That's a multi-campus, multidisciplinary, cross-functional activity that's going to have big results for Louisiana. And as we strive for an NCI designation, right, that's going to be multi-campus, multidisciplinary, and cross-functional, and it will have a huge impact on Louisiana. And if we do those things, if our individual players play to the highest level nationally, and if we collectively play to the highest level nationally, we will gain admission to the prestigious Association of American Universities. That group is the top research universities in America. We believe that we can achieve that because we think we have great people and we can do great things. Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Are there any questions on this subject?
It's okay. Yes, sir.
I compliment you on this, but I got a question for you. In the strategic framework, how does it help us keep kids in Louisiana? I'm very concerned about that. Losing them all.
Yes, sir. That's a.
LSU needed to help us stop.
Yes, sir. So in the economic development section, there's a piece about career development. Now, as you know, we train the students to be nationally competitive, right? We train them to do that. And we've felt for a long time like, well, we can't really control that market out there. But what we have found over time is we can a little bit. So like when we recruit companies, what they really want is access to talent. And we can provide a pipeline to talent. And so if you're going to locate your company here, then we can help place the students where they can stay. I heard a proposal just this week where if we are to come up with a particular program, 100% employment for the graduates of that program, regardless of what major they're in, which surprised me, right? Louisiana industry is interested in keeping them here. So it's really difficult to say, Mr. Mallett, with any certainty how we're going to do it, but I can tell you the companies that are coming, if we are successful here at LSU, and if we can work with the state and LED and bring in companies in, we're going to provide more opportunities for our students to be employed here. I will say I did learn that 72% of the main campus graduates do remain in state, all right? And I think, Mr. Mallett, a lot of them do come back, like a boomerang effect. They'll go over to East Texas and they'll come back. I don't have data on that yet, but we will. But I don't have the answer exactly, but that is a primary concern. Yes, sir.
How we
I will say, Mr. Mount, the chancellors could spend hours talking about outreach and efforts with K-12. It's voluminous. And it's not just like one particular field, it's computer science, but it's also music and doing the things, getting kids interested, not just in college, but in workforce careers, right, and in the technical careers as well. And there's a lot of K through 12 work going on in that front. And what we're learning from employers, especially like the Baton Rouge Area Chamber of Commerce as an example, what they want is to take more computer science work and insert it into the curriculum at a lower level, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, so that by the time the kid reaches high school, they're already really fluent. So it's not like you have to come to college necessarily to go, when you go work and have some understanding of the computer, you can go and work on your certifications, or you can come to college and you have advanced learning. So it's a lot of work with K through 12, individual kids, and with schools. You'd be shocked to know how many contracts we have with school systems in the state. I mean, we're doing a really good job with those. Oh my gosh, we probably have 10 contracts across the family with the school systems, individual parishes, and then individual schools. And then we have several Department of Education grants and Board of Regents grants that have us do working inside those schools. It's probably $5 or $6 million worth. Absolutely, Mr. Mallett, absolutely. I can only speak in terms of the research expenditures because I can look at that report and see that. But I mean, I have the report on my desk. I'm going to guess $25 to $40 million probably in joint work going back and forth. Yes, sir.
Mr. Bossman.
Mr. Chairman, I got a question. On the, I read through this a little bit last night after we had the briefing you gave us yesterday.
Yes, sir.
And in the board packet, it talked about us passing this resolution.
Yes, sir.
And it doesn't have that in the summary here. And I don't see it in any of the paperwork here they gave us, but it's, explain that. What is this, what are we doing here? You want approval of this? And then the 60 days for
yes, sir.
President Tate to go around and talk to the, what do we need the 60 days for? And I see draft written all over this
Yes,
thing,
sir.
so it's apparently it's going to be changed.
Oh, well, here's it. What happens many times is you'll get a subcommittee of the board and they'll work on the committee and then they'll talk and then so somebody like me rolls up into this board meeting and here's almost a finished product. But in working with the board for as many years, I know that you don't really like when somebody, I don't think you like when somebody rolls up into this minute and like, this is the plan and you adopt it and you don't get to make a change. I think that
definitely don't like
frustrates
that.
you, if I remember right.
That's right.
So the strategy on this one is to take any input that you have in this board meeting, actually.
In this board meeting?
In this board meeting or discussions, and just give us the opportunity to take any comments that you have, finalize the document, and put it out.
Right, it's still a living document, Jay, so, you know, you still have an opportunity to inject your thoughts into it.
Yeah, because I'm not prepared today at this meeting after seeing this yesterday with you giving us 10 minutes or 15 minutes and then 5 minutes today.
It's a broad general framework. It's not intended to be a very detailed roadmap at this point, but go ahead, Robert.
So wait a minute, I'm not finished. I got another question. So you want us to have a resolution that we adopt this, and then do we need to do that prior to bringing us the document that you want us to do? Because it's always easier, I guess it's harder to undo something that you've already voted on.
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't see the reason for it. For us to vote for the resolution. At least doesn't say that in here, it says that in our packet. For some resolution for us to vote on it, to approve this.
Yes, this is final approval. Hold on just a second. This is final approval. This is approval from the board. But you're giving the president the opportunity to take your input from today, like from workforce, an example, and include that, and then move with the published document.
We're not giving you any information. We hadn't had, at least I haven't had the time to digest this document, to be able to be really informative, to ask questions and give any guidance that I may have for this document. So what is the damage or where does it hurt for us to come back in 60 days, if that's the time frame, after President Tate goes around and everybody does whatever they want to do to this document, including the board, and then bring it to us for us to vote on? I'm not a big fan of voting on something that gets to get changed, and then I've already voted on it. Yeah. I know I could come back and complain, but it's always very difficult. They always say, oh, you can come back. But no one ever has any energy to come back and undo something.
Right.
That's just me.
Yeah. So, Mr. Blossman, if I'm not mistaken, the document was distributed to the board 2 or 3 weeks ago?
Well, we got an on-board thing, I guess, last Friday. It's not 3 weeks, it's a week.
I think...
Yeah, we actually had, Jay, several calls on this particular subject. It was part of some of the committee work that we did. I'm not sure if you were on those particular calls or not. Dr. Kane may know that, but we have had possession of the framework of this document for some time. But your point is taken.
Yeah.
Mr. Dam.
You mentioned the 60-day period. You're looking for input, okay? But just to clarify, it's a living, breathing thing for the next 60 days. I mean, I go through it this afternoon and think there's something I'll have to give them, so it's not just today.
Yeah, the 60 days, yes, the 60 days it could be 4 days. I mean, this was really to take the board comment and to be sure that the board had the ability to make input, and we would hear what you had to say and make the input happen. And that's all that we were looking for, yeah.
Mr. Chairman, would it be proper to make a motion to approve the draft, but to be reconsidered on final comments brought to y'all, and then bring it back for approval of the final draft or the final document? Would that help you? I think that's where Jay's at.
Well, I don't know what is the urgency? And look, this document's been going around, you said, for years,
Jay,
right?
I think.
No, not for
What
years.
about approving the draft, subject to comments and
Well,
being brought back?
that's what they're asking for.
That's what we're doing,
And
yeah.
I'm just saying.
I'm okay if it's got to come back.
Look, when you already vote on something, they get to vote on this, and then the board's voted on it.
Then make a motion to.
Just hold on. So then the board has voted on it, and then the 60 days goes around. They go to Alexander, they go to Eunice, they go to New Orleans, and they go to Shreveport and talk and visit about all of these things in here.
Mm-hmm.
What?
And then they change a bunch of things, but
No, sir.
and then we've already voted on it.
Jay, why don't you make a motion that makes you feel comfortable, like, and bring it back in 30 days or something?
Well,
What you think?
it's already being I don't know why you don't vote on it after you have the final document. That's what I'm saying. Just once you have the final document, this is the document. We've spoken to everybody that had any reason to comment on this document. Here it is. You have it a week before our next meeting. There's the final document, the final, not a draft, the final document. And then say, we'd like the board to vote on it. I just don't understand why we vote on things that are in draft form that can be changed, but we've already voted. What if I don't like the changes? Then I'm up here trying to unvote something. And that's a difficult position. So I don't know why we voting on it and it could change. That's just me. I don't know if anybody else has heartburn about that. Apparently not. But there was only 8 people that listened to you yesterday in the meeting. That's half the board. So
Again, the document was circulated to the board on February the 8th. And we had several Zoom sessions speaking to the details of this particular document. I thought that was ample time if anything in the document had given anybody any heartburn for us to address it.
Who are they going to see for the 60 days then?
No, sir, if I might.
Just curious. I mean, it said we need 60 days. It's coming back in 60 days to vote on or to give you the final draft at our April meeting.
Mr. Blossman, you can delete the 60 days in a resolution. It does. What all we
So
wanted
we
to do.
approving it then?
If that's what you, yes, sir, if that's what you want to do.
We're
th-
approving
was-
it, subject to change.
Hang on one second. It is often that the board has allowed the president some ability to make minor changes and edits on any document that is going out. It could be 2 days, Mr. Blossman. The 60 days isn't to mark it for more changes or more edits. The 60 days was just to prepare the document. That's all.
Are y'all gonna bring the final draft to us when you finish?
This
Well,
is the
Mr.
draft.
Mount, I'm hoping this is the final draft,
You
but
think
if you want me.
this is your final draft?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Any
We're
other
only
comments
asking.
from any board members? Let's call a question. Is there a motion to approve? Moved by Mr. Damp, second by Mr. Armature. All in favor?
I object. Wait, okay.
Mr. Blossman, object. Please note that. Ms. Marilyn, any additional? The motion is approved. Thank you very much, Mr. Drotti. We sincerely appreciate it. Presentation, Dr. Drotti, that you did on yesterday. And in that same vein, I would like to thank Dr. Sorensen and Dr. Gusick, who also provided two outstanding presentations to the board. So thank you very much for that. At this time, I'll do the chairman's report, and very brief one today. Once more, I would like to thank everyone that participated in today's meeting, my colleagues, faculty, staff, and students. Our last Board of Supervisors meeting was in December before graduation. So on behalf of the Board of Supervisors, we would like to congratulate all of our December graduates. We are very proud of your achievements, and we look forward to seeing great accomplishments from you as LSU alumni. Through research, scholarship, and teaching, we are winning on all levels. On behalf of myself and my colleagues, I would like to again congratulate President Tate, Dr. Robert Twilley, the Vice President of Office of Research and Economic Development, and his team on the largest grant ever awarded by the U.S. National Science Foundation. We are tremendously proud of your contribution to energy research and this historic achievement. And again, on a very personal note, I want to extend happy birthday to my dear friend and colleague, James Williams, on his 50th. And with that, I'll conclude my remarks and say, go Tigers. Thank you very much. Have a good weekend. Is there so on, second by Mr. Armature. Anybody opposed? Thank you.